Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Gator Gang podcast. I'm your host, Bobby, and I'm joined with my co-hosts, Daryl and Lucas. How you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing
Doing
pretty
good.
good.
Go
Just
Gators.
That's
just
good to hear.
really busy.
Coming off the week 2 win versus USF, winning 42-20, the Gators look pretty good in the win. Still some things we need to clean up, but you know what? We got the win. We're not FSU, so everything's all good.
We don't lose to shitty teams.
Yeah, we don't do that. That was a crazy ending to that game, and I'm glad we didn't have a nail biter like that on our hands. But we're gonna get right into it because I feel like there's a whole lot to talk about. Um, and before we really get started, coming to y'all live from both of the groups on Facebook and the Gator Gang YouTube page. I have gotten that out. So if you have not subscribed to it, please subscribe to the YouTube page. Get those subscribers up, and so we can be able to get more of an audience and like it, share it. You know the deal. Let's get into this. So Florida goes into Raymond James Stadium to play USF in an NFL stadium, which is always great to play there. Give these players a feel of what it's like to play in an NFL stadium. For the ones who have never done that. So that alone right there is huge. But we're gonna get right into it because I feel like the quarterback battle. There is a quarterback battle brewing, and Daryl, I'm gonna start with you on this because I feel you're gonna have a huge take because I've seen your comments on things and the inside information about Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones and I'm loving what I'm seeing by both of them. They both bring great things to the table. Emory Jones has had some mistakes, and Anthony Richardson really hasn't had any mistakes except for missing a few reads and all of that. But he's learning. He's young. He's going to develop in that category as well.
You got to
But Daryl,
remember,
what did you see from the quarterbacks?
Well, I mean, obviously, to me, they both played. They both played really good. I mean, EJ, he made a couple mistakes. He is younger. He is in the learning process of being a starter, and he will be the starting quarterback throughout the season. He's going to be the guy that takes the first snap. But I do feel that AR gives us that advantage as well in other areas of the game. So could he see more playing time? Of course he can, but he is young, and he's not going to know as much. The press conference today even mentioned how maybe he missed a couple reads, but he took off and scored a touchdown. Great play in the eyes of us, but when you look at it at the film room, there's room for coaching. So, like I said, EJ is going to be he's going to be the starter. And whether people like that, that's a time thing. It's just like anything. He's put in the time. He's waited. He's going to start. He's going to have the first snap. But it looks like we're going to have two quarterbacks the entire time. And I believe that we haven't seen the full advantage of our running quarterbacks. I believe that we're going to see that this weekend. I believe we're going to see multiple quarterbacks on the field. And that was this coming up weekend. But I believe that we have really good quarterbacks there, both of them.
Both of them bring different things to the field. The one thing that I'm going to touch on Emory Jones, you kind of didn't get into the details of Emory Jones, but I definitely will because from my couch watching the game, I notice these things, and you probably noticed it last weekend being there in the stadium. And as you said, watching it on TV, it looked a little better than what it did, in person. But the one thing that when I watch the game, I'm not just watching a game. I'm trying to catch up. Watch the details of the reads and the progressions and what the play from start to finish. And I'm seeing a lot of Emory Jones locking onto a receiver. Say Copeland's a receiver, As soon as the ball is snapped, first place he's looking, Copeland. And he's
Yeah.
not really looking anywhere else, and kind of eyeing off the safety, looking to the right side of the field, trying to pull the safety to the right with your eyes, and then go back left and get it to Copeland, or whoever the target may be. I just feel like that's a problem. And when the receivers go into their route and they make their cut, Emory Jones being late on the throw, and he's throwing it too late, and the defender is able to jump the route and intercept the ball from him.
Yes.
Yeah, I posted that in the groups today. I'm like, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but I'm like, the problem I have with EJ is he doesn't read the defense properly.
Yeah.
No.
That's something that's not easily from week to week changed. So and it may be some nerves. Not sure, but you can definitely tell that he doesn't read the defenses. I noticed in the very first game, he threw the 2 interceptions, but there was one that probably could have been a pick six if that was an Alabama cornerback on the outside. Alabama would have took that to the house. So, you know, first 2 games, you got 4 interceptions, but he's had some highlight moments too. So, I mean, he threw a dime to the corner to Copeland over there. I mean, so he can make the plays, but he's got to.
Not Copeland.
Oh, sorry, Henderson, you're correct. And he can make the plays, he can make the throws. He's just got to. He's got to open up that read. He's got to get his feet moving, and then if it's not there, he's got to make sure he uses his feet to get those few extra yards.
I completely agree. And Lucas, I'm gonna get your take on this because you watched the game too. Anthony Richardson is very explosive in the plays, the limited time of plays that he gets on the field.
I've said it. He reminds me of Tebow, the way he runs and plays.
He's got the wow factor.
He definitely does. I mean, Anthony Richardson only attempted 3 passes, went 3 for 3, 152 yards, 2
First
touchdowns.
guy to ever do that, by the way.
And then on the ground, 4 carries, 115 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown. So he accounted for 3 touchdowns in that game with the limited snaps that he got.
And not to mention the very first play, touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. So go ahead, Darryl.
The only problem, and I noticed it today after watching Dan's press conference, is that he does have the wow factor. He can make these plays that just wow you. Mm-hmm. But sometimes you have to have that guy that's going to make the right read. So if he misses a read and then he takes off, okay, he made a touchdown. But is that really what we needed him to do? So I know that's kind of cliche, but you're not going to make that crazy play every time. You are going to have to be able to make them reads. So he has a problem with making some reads too, even though you may not see it in the big plays that he's doing.
Right, like the play with the rocker step, where he took the ball, attempted like he was going to run, take the step back, and just aired it out for the touchdown. That was a great play, but like you're alluding to, what if that defender? What if he didn't bite on Anthony Richardson taking off and running? What if he stayed with the receiver? What is Anthony Richardson's check down there? Is he going to take off running, or is he going to find a different route? So these are things that I definitely want to see. If that's not there, what is he going to do? And we can look at this. And David Waters said on Gator Breakdown, take that I kind of really agreed with. We can look at this in 2 perspectives. We can look at it as he's very explosive, and when he gets in there, he's able to make things happen and get the touchdown, a quick touchdown. But on the other side of it, that I'm not liking from the Dan Mullen and the coaching staff side of things is after these touchdowns, the next offensive possession, we're seeing Emory Jones come out on the field instead of Anthony Richardson. Now, I would like to see Anthony Richardson come out there and get his feet wet a little more. And okay, you did great on that drive. It was only a 2-play drive or whatever it is. It's really quick, scored quick, but let's get him in there and let's see how he goes with another drive. Can he sustain what he was doing on that previous drive? And that's one thing we've yet to see. And I feel like these two games are the two games that we should have incorporated Anthony Richardson a lot more in that aspect.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Well, my take. Go ahead, Lucas. I'm sorry.
My my take. I said it in the groups. I'm like, I think AR needs to be started if healthy, and that's the key word, if healthy, because he just runs the offense way better.
So, what if Dan Mullen knows, which he does? He knows. He may play candy to the media. He knows who the better quarterback may be. He knows who has the wow factor. He's done this before.
Yeah.
What if he doesn't want to show everything? I mean, what if he knows? Okay, I've got this guy, and
You don't
you
want to
have one of the
expose him.
you
Right.
have one of the biggest games in the swamp, and probably I
10
can't
years.
remember. The last time number one Alabama came, I remember we were 10-0. It was Jeff Driscoll was our quarterback. I don't even remember what year it was. This will be
2014.
the biggest opponent we've had in the swamp
Hmm.
8-9 years. I mean, Auburn was ranked number 5, but they weren't number 1.
Right. Right.
This will be the biggest opponent we've had, and I think he's really planning on doing some interesting things.
He said today, "quote I'm bringing out some tricks for the Alabama game," which
But that would be as a coach. If I knew I had that person, I don't know if I would play him those first 2 games as much as maybe people wanted to see.
Yes, and as I alluded to in the podcast that I did, last night, the little thing that I did is um, Dan Mullen alluded to it in the before the season started, after the first game, before the second game, after the second game, is what we're playing right now is situational football.
Mhm.
We know whatever the situation is, whatever the defense is giving us, whatever he wants to put on the table, that's what he's going to do in that moment. To see what players can do great at and what they don't do good at before you get to the tougher part of the schedule, which is obviously coming up with Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and so on and so forth.
You're getting the SEC schedule, yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting into conference play, and you don't want to put too much on film for Alabama to see. So yeah, Daryl, you're right. It kind of is a vanilla flavor to it, but I think a lot of fans are missing the bigger picture of you don't want to do too much exposing of Emory Jones or Anthony Richardson, before this Alabama game.
Yeah, because I feel, I mean, if you go and I rewatched the last 2 games a couple times, and I've watched the running that they're doing, and it's pretty basic read to the, running back or take it. But there's some more crazier things they can do, and I know they can do with the running quarterback. So I am interested to see that. I think we might be see some surprises coming up.
Oh, I
And
completely agree. Completely agree. I think that play that I was alluding to earlier about Anthony Richardson with the rocker step, I feel like that's a play that we could see in the future as well. But what if it's not there, because Alabama's a very disciplined football team, and
yeah,
they know they have the players to cover on the inside and the outside, so they may not bite on that like like he did, like the
uh,
defender did.
yeah. And by the way,
quarter.
Gary. By the way, it's gonna be Brad Nessler and Gary Johnson on the call next week. So
Yes. Yeah,
thank,
it'll be the CBS crew, which is cool. Um,
thank God, Alexa has WRUF built into it, because I can't stand those.
yes, I like listening to Mick and having the Gator perspective of listening to the game, and of course, Mick always has his great moments.
I will say I'm very proud of our, for the last two games, it seems like we've been able to run the ball very efficiently.
We have had
And
we have had over 600 yards
yeah,
combined the last 3 games running the ball.
and even I don't know if I'm sure we're planning on touching on the
Did I
defensive side,
did
but
I
at the
did I, you got this? We had 666 yards, which is the fifth most in UF history as far as total yardage.
yeah, so the yardage is there, and I think it's even going to get better for some of these other games because I think you're going to see more exotic running than what we have. But I am very proud about that because that is what is needed to win these bigger games that we haven't had. I mean, you can pass the ball all day long, but you can't be one dimensional. You have to either be able to run. You have to do both. And if we can run the ball successfully, I do think it will open up throwing lanes out there. It ain't going to be no Kyle Trask throwing the ball. But I do believe that it'll open up some of them bigger plays, one on one on the sides and stuff with these maybe a little less. Um, not I wouldn't say less quality, but they're not this 2,000-yard receiver that we've had in the past. So,
Right.
but we're gonna have to get that run game going to get them to be able to throw the ball down the field. And I see that I do see that's coming
Hmm.
a little bit more.
I do too. But you definitely brought this into the right topic of where I was going with this. Is after talking about the quarterbacks and what they've done, let's talk about the run game and how we produce there.
Like I
In,
said,
in week one we had 400
over
yards
600
rushing.
yards
Week
combined.
two we had 363 yards rushing. So we're seeing consistency in the run game. I'm seeing even in the pass game. The offensive line is holding up. They're playing really well. I'm liking what I'm seeing in that aspect. Really good. Um, when you talk about our running game, Richardson led the rushing with four attempts or four carries for 115 yards, and then Emory Jones 13 carries for 81 yards, and then Naquan Wright had 7 carries for 36 yards, and Damon Pierce had 5 carries for 55 yards. Bowman, 3 carries for 33 yards. Malik Davis, 7 carries for 22 yards. And Lorenzo Lingard, 5 carries for 21 yards. So all 5 running backs are getting their time back there.
Mhm.
And I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing from Malik Davis and Damian Pierce. And I like facing a running quarterback is something every team hates to do because you don't just got to worry about them dropping back and passing the ball like Kyle Trask. I'm hoping that we'll be able to get more into the passing game, especially if we're going to start with Emory Jones in this game. I want to see him be able to. He had some great throws, and he had some throws that were not so great. I want to see him get more comfortable in the passing game than what he has been. I'll bring this up from last night. Emory Jones in the 2 games he went 31 for 49, 264 yards passing, 2 touchdowns passing, 2 touchdowns rushing, and 4 interceptions. Obviously, we've alluded to that the 4 interceptions are concerning, but the 31 for 49 he's put up a lot of passes. But then you look at Anthony Richardson, 6 of 11, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, 2 touchdowns rushing. Obviously, you don't need a brain to see that Anthony Richardson has done a lot less attempts and they're putting up the same amount of numbers as Emory Jones, who has gotten a lot more. So, I mean that's
Yeah.
how
And
it goes in
And
the
Dan
game.
said after the game that we are going to see a 2 quarterback system the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna
I
see it.
agree. I think you will see
Yeah,
that all year
and
long.
I love look quarterback controversy. We'll be talking about it all year. I love the fact that we're playing the two quarterbacks. For one, it makes your opponent spend extra time on a quarterback on both quarterbacks. I mean, you only have so much time to prepare through the week for a team. Well, now you have to divvy that time up. You can't just say, okay, we're going to focus on Emery, or no, we got to focus on Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like it. I like it. I think it makes it more complicated. I think Alabama's scratching their heads because they don't know. They don't even know.
I
So
said it.
I like
I
it.
said it before the season starts. This reminds me of Legion Tebow, and not just because of the
I,
not that I think we're gonna win a natty.
I think it's a bad
I,
comparison
I
to
think they're
compare
different in a
Legion
way,
and
but they're
Tebow.
two quarterback systems.
Yeah, I think the concept of the system is what we're really truly trying to compare,
Yeah.
because it worked so well for Dan Mullen then, and he's got two great quarterbacks, and we're obviously seeing that both of them can bring a lot to the table. And Anthony Richardson is not afraid to run anybody over, a lot like Tim Tebow in his freshman year, where he's just running everybody over and making
Yeah.
plays. But as he gets more experience and is out there, I think over the years you're going to see him transition to not trying to deliver a hit and just kind of just run out of bounds or
Yeah.
get down, and because you definitely don't want to see your quarterback, your future quarterback, get any type of injury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, Florida. The good thing about Florida is we're not unknown to the two quarterback system. I mean, Steve Spurrier did it.
Urban Meyer did it.
Dan Mullen's done it at least once at Florida. I think he's done it at least once at Mississippi State.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So and obviously we're going to see it this year, and I love it. I love it because it just allows the other opponent to waste extra time on game film on somebody else. I mean, it's just you're not just focusing on one quarterback.
Exactly. And something we haven't really gotten into about Anthony Richardson is on the 80-yard run that he had at the end of that play, he was grabbing
And by
his
the way,
hammy.
Tate said
And he was a
Tate said
little injured
hamstring
right there, and he
video.
went on the sideline, and he was walking around, but he didn't do any running on that. How concerned are you, Daryl? How concerned are you about Anthony Richardson and that hammy?
Zero. I am
Okay,
zero
I
concerned
like it.
about that hamstring. I think you're going to hear hamstring injury and questionable all week. If I was the head coach, you wouldn't even. I would be telling YouTube, "Yep, the kid's hurt," because to me, it's a mind game. Some of these, this is a mind game, and that he is going to play in the Alabama game. I promise you that. Now, I don't know how much
Because
passion, but he's going to play it. He may stand on the sideline. He may stand in a wide receiver spot or something as a decoy. I don't know, but he's going to play in that game.
I like it. I like it. So, let's flip to the defensive side of the ball. In the first game, we had 6 sacks. In the second game, we had 1 sack from Jeremiah Moon. Jeremiah Moon was the only one who got a sack. But I don't know if y'all noticed, but Zachary Carter, Claire Elam, Jeremiah Moon, and a few others did not play in the second half of the USF game.
Yes. Yes.
So, with that being
That's
said, that could be a contributing factor as to why the defense didn't get the sacks and gave up some points in the second half, because at halftime I believe the score was 35-3. Now, what I am concerned about is the second half sputters. And I understand you're rotating in guys and all of that, but we're giving up a little bit, and we're not being as productive as we need to, because second half came around, and I know we're talking about defense now, but Emory Jones had the 2 back-to-back drives where he threw an interception, giving USF short fields, and they were able to capitalize that.
Right before he did that, I tweeted that he has played well, so I might have jinxed him.
Yeah. So my biggest concern about the defense, and is just what you brought out, is I do think that our starting defense can compare to any team in the country, but I do fear that Florida may not have the depth as some other elite teams. Obviously, against
And that harkens back to Dan Mullen's recruiting, which
a UCF or the Bulls team. I understand we're playing a lesser opponent. So our second string probably doesn't look terrible. But I noticed that he took them guys out, and you are trying to build depth because and you're trying to find that guy that's going to be that second guy too. Because when you do start SEC play, you're not going to be able to suit up as many players. So you need to make sure you
Exactly.
find the guy who's going to play more, and then the guy that's going to come in and relieve you a little bit. You got to make sure you have that
Yeah,
because we're
exactly.
going to get into SEC play, and we're going to have to work. He'll have to make the decision. So I do believe that's why you've seen some of them younger guys later, and we've seen it in the first game as well. Matter of fact, I don't even think either team probably would have scored very much if we wouldn't have done that. Because even in the first game, they played a lot of younger guys as well.
Exactly. Yeah, Avery Helm and Marshall. They're going to be great corners. Elijah Blades did not play in the game.
Well,
He had an injury that did not allow him to play. He had a hamstring
yeah,
that he didn't feel comfortable with getting out there and playing, which is great. If you're not ready to play, don't get out there and play because we need, as you said, we need the depth.
yeah,
But Marshall needs to be play the ball instead of playing the receiver. There's a couple plays there where we gave up one 44-yard pass, and that was on Marshall because he just simply did not get his head turned around to locate where the ball was. He was more worried about the
And that
receiver.
kid's gonna be
But
a
then
superstar.
again,
That kid's
that's
gonna
why
be a
you get
super.
them out there and you get them these reps in these games against FAU,
hmm,
USF. So
yep,
you can put something on film. So during this week, prior to the Alabama game, you're going, Marshall, okay, this is what you did. This is what you did wrong. This is what you need to do. You're putting something on film to give him something to look at and go, okay, that's how I can improve. And
yeah,
that's exactly what we're saying of, yeah, that's why we're seeing these younger guys. So don't think that because USF got, blew out 45 to nothing, and then against us, they put up 20 points. I'm not going to say that's too alarming when you're talking about playing, in a lot of freshmen in the second
yeah.
half.
There were a lot of younger guys, and they're going to have to be able to make some plays for us in SEC play. And I think that's what he was trying to figure out is who do we have because you can only suit up so many guys. The number gets lower in SEC play. I don't know the exact numbers, but
I,
they can't suit up as many guys when we play in the SEC.
Right. And I had some stats here that I wrote down. Let's see, where are we at here? Um, in third downs, uh, on the offensive side of the ball, we have done 14 for 28 on third downs on the offensive side, which is 50%. So you'd definitely like to see that, way better, especially
Hmm.
against FAU, USF. That needs to be better. But on the defensive side of the ball, we're giving up 10 for 29 on third down, which is only 34%. So
that's not.
yeah, we're giving up some first downs in the first down categories. We have on the offensive side of the ball, we have 52 first downs compared to the opponent's 43 first downs. So they these teams of FAU and USF have been able to get first downs and been able to move the ball down the field somewhat, even if they don't go all the
Yeah.
way and have to punt. They're still able to capitalize and make plays and keep the ball going. Keep the drive alive.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be too alarmed. These smaller schools, even though they are smaller schools, both these schools are in the state of Florida, and a lot of these guys probably would have played at Florida or FSU or Miami. Some of them may have not had the grades to get into them schools. So there's some talent on those schools as well. Matter of fact, I think it was AFU, the team we played the first week. They went out and blown out Georgia Southern. So um, there's some there's some talent on them teams. Not maybe not as much as that. They're not going to be as much as Alabama, but there is talent on them smaller Florida
Yeah,
teams. Ask Florida State.
exactly. I will say this. We kind of talked about this. Privately. I think we might have even touched on it on a podcast or so. But you have to have good. Not only do you have to be athletic and all of that to get into the upper D1 schools, But
But you also
if
have
you're,
to,
but
you
you also
also have
have
to
to,
be smart.
yeah, you have to have the academics as well.
Mhm.
And some of these players on the smaller schools, that is the only reason why they didn't get into Florida, FSU, Miami, Ohio State, Alabama, is because of their grades. So they go to these schools like USF, FAU, to where you don't have to have as high of a grade to get in there, but you're still talented enough to play.
Mhm.
So yeah, you're right. They definitely have some talent
Yeah.
on the squads.
Oh yeah, by far. Some of them schools have a lot of talent. Especially these smaller ones here in Florida. They have a lot of talent.
Now, one thing I will say, I would like this. In the two games, Florida offensively has put up 1,219 yards total. Sounds really good. On the flip side, the defense, and I know this is FAU and USF, but we're also playing a lot of younger players and all of that. So let's take into account that we've
Yeah.
only given up 650 total yards in two games to the opponent.
I'll take it.
Now, I will say that is pretty damn good because in one game alone, we had
Yeah.
666 yards, which is more than what we've given up in two games.
Yeah.
So the defense is there. So we're not as bad
And I
as what
said
we
this,
think we look.
and I said this when I posted my thoughts on the game. I'm like, last year we had no idea what the fricksicles we were doing, and now
Yeah. Yeah. The defense is improved. The front four is just amazed me. And I think that's going to be as we go through SEC play, we're going to need those front four to hold that line because our cornerbacks and stuff, they're going to need a little bit of help. So I think that's so critical, and the guys are in the right positions. I think we're going to be able to get to the quarterback a little bit more better this year, and I think we're already starting to see that in some of these earlier games compared to last year. I mean, so we'll see a really much improved Florida defense this year.
Exactly. So we touched on the offense, we touched on the defense, and now we touched on everything that we need to. Now we just got to wait the rest of the week, and then we would get into the pregame podcast of the Florida
I can see
Alabama game
I can see if
in the
David wants.
swamp.
I can see if David Sardicus wants to join us or something. I can see.
Definitely. So on Thursday night at 7:30, we will be
I'm
doing our
stoked,
podcast for the pregame. So y'all definitely
guys.
make sure y'all tune into that.
Look, we playing Alabama this week. Like my blood pressure has been high from 7 o'clock this morning. Like I'm
Wake up this
ready.
morning and you're
Y-
just ready.
Yes, I'm ready. Like I'm ready now to go play. Let's go play Alabama.
And I
Let's do
and
it.
I feel that the Gators are gonna they're gonna come into this game with a chip on their shoulder
Oh,
to play against Alabama because not only did you lose to them by just 6 points
yeah.
last year in the SEC championship game, but you're
And
playing this game in
and
front
the
of a
swamp,
full
and
crowd
if
in the
trading,
swamp.
Was
and if trading doesn't follow that, we probably win.
wasn't it Carter who came back just because of that Alabama? And so I mean, these guys, I think they know. Now, win
They
or lose, I'm just excited. I'm excited. It's a big one. We haven't had this big of a game in the
If
swamp in
we,
a long time.
okay, I'll say this: if we lose by a touchdown, if we do lose, I want it to be by a touchdown, but I want to win the game. Does that make sense?
It
on,
won't be
on,
by
on this
much.
podcast we don't talk about losing because we're true Gators and this is why we played the game because there
You
is a
guys are gonna,
shot there.
you guys are gonna hate me next week or no, Thursday.
We'll get into that Thursday.
I love
We,
y'all
we,
though.
we don't want to do
Okay.
anything too much now,
All right.
but we're gonna let y'all go. But it
Anyway,
was good to do the podcast with y'all, and y'all know how it goes. If you ain't a Gator, you must be
must
Gator
be Gator
bait.
I am gonna.